It's the 24th of February 1938, and in the city of Portland, Oregon, a little boy is being born, and they name him Philip Knight. Unlike other successful people that we've introduced to you guys, Philip had a very good childhood. His father was a lawyer, and he grew up in a stable home. And when Philip was growing up, he really didn't suffer from any family problems. When he gets his diploma, he enters the Oregon University to study business, and when he gets his bachelor's, he decides to go to Stanford University to get his master's. When Philip gets his master's degree from Stanford in 1962, he had been studying business for more than 6 years. He was very confused in terms of what to do and what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. At this time, Philip runs track, and he was part of the track team in both of his universities. Each time he ran, he would always inspect his shoes, and he would wish that he had better shoes for running. He would always say to himself how he can improve these shoes so he can run better and faster. Since he had a degree in business, he was always keeping up to date in businesses around the world, and he knew that the Japanese were expanding their economy heavily. Like, for example, they're now building cameras that are much better than their German counterparts. And he told himself, we can do the same thing but with shoes. He basically decided to go to Japan to buy shoes that could compete with Adidas and Puma. And it's interesting to know we've made a video about these two brothers competing against each other. Philip looked all over the US to find Japanese made shoes, but he couldn't find it. The only ones he would find is the ones that people brought him or the ones that brought it overseas, and he couldn't really go to a store to buy it. When Philip realized that there is no Japanese market for shoes in the US, he got very excited. This was important because he was going to be the first person to sell Japanese shoes in the US. In the year 1962, when Philip was only 24 years old, he decided to visit Japan. When he visits Kobe, Japan, he goes inside a shoe store called Onitsuka Tiger. When he sees the shoes from this manufacturer, he's very impressed, but it is not well known around the world. Even though Philip was young and he didn't have a lot of experience working with this type of stuff, he was a very good speaker and he was considered a charismatic person. And one way or another, he asked the employees to show him where the owner is so he can speak business with him. They asked him, why do you want to talk to him? He realized that if he said the truth, they were not going to let him speak with the owner. And that is why he said he's an American dealer interested in buying these Japanese shoes and selling them in the US. Since the story sounded legit, they take him to this guy, Kihachiro Onitsuka, the CEO of Onitsuka Tiger. When Philip realized that he's been taken to the owner of the store, he decided to come up with a name so it doesn't seem like it's fake. The fake name he comes up with in his head is BRS, Blue Ribbon Sports. Either way, they take him to the owner. And he was happy because the owner couldn't figure out if his store is legit or not, because there's no internet or Google search you can look up BRS. The owner asked Philip what he wants. Philip said exactly what he wanted. He wanted to become the dealer for Onitsuka Tiger in the US. And Mr. Onitsuka agreed with him and made a deal. When Philip gets back to the United States, he didn't have a store, a trailer, let alone a shopping cart. He got a few boxes of these new Japanese shoes and put it in the trunk of his car. And after, he would visit different running tracks around the city. And when he got to the track, he would offer it to the people running. And usually they would actually buy the shoes, because it's not like today where high quality shoes are available everywhere and you just go to the store and buy it. Philip would sell the shoes, but he wasn't happy with this decision because he couldn't grow huge doing it this way. He was always thinking in what to do, and he realized that his track coach in the University of Oregon knew a lot about sports and sports gear, and that is why he sets up a meeting with his old coach, Bill Bowerman. Bill Bowerman was no normal coach. 31 of his students was an Olympic athlete. When Philip brought up the idea of bringing these shoes and selling them here, Bill really liked the idea and he wanted to become partners with him. These two created a business and put that made-up name Philip came up with in a hallway on their new company, BRS. And after creating this business, both of them put $500 each into the business, and that went straight to inventory. They basically sent it to the company of Onitsuka Tiger, and they got 600 pairs of new shoes. Bill was a part of this company now, and he knew a lot of athletes in Oregon, and that is why the 600 pairs of shoes they got, it was all sold out within a month. And at this point, they still don't have a store, trailer, or anything. They just sell it out of their car. They continue this over and over. They keep sending money and bringing new shoes, until they save up $20,000. Then they rent a store, put the shoes on display, and hire a salesperson. These two divide their work into two. Philip was basically the marketing master and the business master, and Bill was the engineering master behind the shoes, and he would design the new shoes. Bill designed some insanely good shoes for athletes, but he has to send them to Japan so they can review it and make the shoe, and that is why he was not really happy about giving his design away like that. Bill brings up the idea to Philip that we have to make these shoes for our own company and not be a middleman, and that's because our valuable design is being handed to another company. Philip agrees with Bill and says our contract ends in 2 years, meaning the year of 1972. Anything we want to do has to be done after 1972. They continue working with the Japanese company, but they're always thinking how they can expand their new business once the contract is over. 1 year before the contract was over, Philip was already bringing up ideas on how to change their name from BRS. Then they both agree they should name their new shoe company Nike, the goddess of victory in Greek mythology. But they were stuck and didn't know what logo they should choose. They realized they can't do it, so they hire a graphic designer, Carolyn Davidson. For the amount of $35, Carolyn Davidson creates this logo, and everybody is familiar with this. In terms of business and marketing, Philip's head was top notch, and he knew exactly what to do to bring the company up. He goes to Japan to find new factories so that he can work with, and give them the design and build shoes for the Nike company alone, not anyone else. So with this case, they would no longer be the middleman, and they would own the rights to everything they sell. Philip makes deals with a few Japanese factories and comes back to the US. When the all-new Nike shoes are being made, that's when the 1972 Munich is happening. But this Olympic is famous for other reasons, and it involves Israel. And we've made a video if you're interested in seeing it. Since Bill knew a lot of athletes, he sponsored a few of these athletes with Nike shoes, and the new company of Nike got an insane amount of exposure all of a sudden, and after that they grow exponentially in a way where it surpasses Adidas and Puma in a short time. Nike was growing, but when we get to the 1980s, there is a very young player that's setting records and changing the game, and alongside that, he's making basketball loved all around the world, and he was none other than Michael Jordan. In this era, Adidas is really looking into signing a deal with Michael Jordan, but Philip wanted to do the same thing. He wanted to sponsor the most famous young athlete of the 1980s. So in this era, Adidas and Nike both have a contract in front of Michael Jordan, and he can choose whichever he wants. Their deal was kind of similar, but they also had their perks. So Michael Jordan didn't know what to do. Should he sign with the OG company or the new company? When he was thinking on what to do, his mother suggested that he should take the Nike deal. And the reason Nike gives Michael Jordan a percentage of each Air Jordan sold in the world is because of Michael's mother, and she made the deal with Nike. So not only did his mom get him a killer deal, but she was the one that chose Nike over Adidas. And they made an all-new version of the Nike called Air Jordan, and everybody knows Air Jordan, one of the most desirable shoes in the world. So you could say that Michael Jordan's mother had a lot to do with making Nike #1 in the world. If she had chosen Adidas, the world would have seen these two brands differently. Nowadays, this sponsorship between brands has been going on over the year, and the most famous athletes right now is Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. Messi prefers Adidas, and Ronaldo prefers Nike.